The year is 1939. Europe stands on the precipice of a conflict that will reshape the world. As the shadows of war lengthen across the continent, a new symbol of German power rises from the shipyards of Hamburg, the Battleship Bismarck. More than just a warship, Bismarck was a declaration, a titan forged from steel and ambition, destined to carve its name into the annals of naval history. Its very existence sent a shiver down the spines of Allied strategists, a stark reminder of Germany's reawakened military might and its unwavering resolve to dominate the seas. The design and construction of the Bismarck represented the pinnacle of naval engineering of its time. Commissioned on August 24, 1940, it was the first of two Bismarck-class battleships built for the German Kriegsmarine, the other being Tirpitz. Conceived under the shadow of the Treaty of Versailles, which had severely restricted Germany's naval capabilities after World War I, the Bismarck was a defiant rejection of these limitations. Its construction was a covert triumph, a testament to German ingenuity and clandestine rearmament efforts, pushing the boundaries of what was thought possible under international scrutiny. From the moment its keel was laid down in July 1936 at the Blohm & Voss shipyard, Bismarck was envisioned as an almost unsinkable fortress, a floating embodiment of brute force and cutting-edge technology. Engineers pored over blueprints, meticulously designing a vessel that prioritized armor and firepower. The battleship was truly colossal for its era, displacing over 50,000 tons at full load, stretching 251 meters, 823 feet in length, and boasting a beam of 36 meters, 118 feet. Its sheer scale dwarfed many of its contemporaries, instilling a sense of awe and dread. The protective qualities of Bismarck were legendary. Its armor scheme was among the most comprehensive ever devised, utilizing a layered approach designed to withstand sustained punishment. The main armored belt, constructed of hardened Krupp steel, was an incredible 320 millimeters, 12.6 inches, thick, angled to maximize its defensive properties against incoming shells. Below the waterline, the hull was segmented into 22 watertight compartments, an advanced measure to mitigate flooding in the event of torpedo strikes or shell penetrations. This compartmentalization was a core tenet of its supposed invulnerability, allowing the ship to maintain buoyancy even with significant damage. Deck armor, vital for protecting against plunging shell fire at long ranges and aerial bombs, was also exceptionally robust, reaching up to 120 millimeters, 4.7 inches in places. The conning tower, the nerve center of the ship, was clad in an astounding 350 millimeters, 13.8 inches of armor, making it almost impervious to all but the heaviest artillery. Every vital area, from magazines to engine rooms, was encased in a formidable shell of steel, promising unprecedented survivability in battle. The designers understood the brutal realities of naval warfare and sought to create a vessel that could absorb and deliver devastating blows in equal measure. The heart of Bismarck's offensive power lay in its main battery. 8 38-centimeter, 15-inch SKC-34 naval guns mounted in 4 massive twin turrets named Anton, Bruno, Caesar, and Dora. These guns were engineering marvels in themselves, capable of firing armor-piercing shells weighing over 800 kilograms, 1,760 pounds, up to 36 kilometers, 22 miles with astonishing accuracy. The rate of fire was impressive for such large guns, allowing each turret to unleash a salvo approximately every 20-25 seconds. When all 8 guns fired in unison, the concussive force was immense, capable of tearing apart even the most heavily armored adversaries. Beyond its primary armament, Bismarck carried a formidable array of secondary and anti-aircraft weaponry. 12 15-centimeter guns in 6 twin turrets provided defense against smaller surface targets and a devastating broadside against cruisers. For anti-aircraft defense, it mounted 16 10.5-centimeter flak guns, 16 3.7-centimeter automatic cannons, and a multitude of 2-centimeter light anti-aircraft guns. This layered defensive network was designed to deter any aerial threat, a crucial consideration in an age where air power was rapidly asserting its dominance. Propulsion for this Leviathan was provided by 12 Wagner superheated boilers feeding 3 Blohm+Voss geared steam turbines, delivering a staggering 190,000 shaft horsepower. This immense power allowed Bismarck to reach a top speed of over 30 knots, 56 kilometers per hour, 35 miles per hour, making it one of the fastest battleships in the world. Its speed was a critical tactical advantage, allowing it to outrun most merchant convoys it might encounter and evade slower but perhaps more heavily armed enemy battleships. The combination of speed, armor, and firepower made Bismarck a truly unique and terrifying threat. The crew, numbering over 2,200 officers and men, were a vital component of the ship's operational effectiveness. They were meticulously trained, instilled with the strict discipline and unwavering loyalty characteristic of the German military. Life aboard Bismarck was a complex ecosystem of specialized roles, from the gunnery crews who painstakingly loaded and aimed the massive cannons, to the engineers who maintained the roaring heart of the ship's propulsion, to the navigators who charted its course across the vast, unforgiving ocean. Each man was a cog in a finely tuned machine, his individual duty contributing to the collective power and precision of the warship. As the Bismarck prepared for its maiden operational voyage in May 1941, the war in the Atlantic was raging. Britain, an island nation utterly dependent on sea lanes for its survival, was being slowly strangled by German U-boat campaigns and surface raiders. The Battle of the Atlantic was a brutal, unrelenting struggle for supremacy, a contest of attrition where every convoy, every supply ship was a vital artery. German Grand Admiral Erich Raeder, commander of the Kriegsmarine, envisioned a strategic deployment of surface units that would complement the U-boat offensive, striking at Allied convoys and cutting off Britain's lifeline. Operation Rheinübung, or Rhine Exercise, was the code name for Bismarck's first and only mission. The objective was audacious. Bismarck, accompanied by the heavy cruiser Prince Eugen, was to break out into the Atlantic, attacking Allied shipping lanes and disrupting the flow of vital supplies from North America to Great Britain. The goal was not to engage in a decisive fleet battle, but rather to act as a powerful commerce raider, a pocket battleship on steroids, drawing away valuable British warships from convoy escort duties and creating chaos. On May 18, 1941, under the command of Kapitän zur See Ernst Lindemann and with Admiral Günther Lütjens, commander of the German fleet, aboard, Bismarck weighed anchor from Gdynia, Gotenhafen, then a German port. Its departure was shrouded in secrecy, but the sheer size of the vessel made complete concealment impossible. British intelligence, ever vigilant, soon received reports of powerful German naval units moving through the Baltic. The alarm bells began to ring in the Admiralty in London. The journey north through the Norwegian fjords was tense. Allied reconnaissance aircraft, particularly from neutral Sweden, spotted the German force. The Royal Navy, already stretched thin defending global shipping lanes and engaged in campaigns across the Mediterranean, swiftly began to mobilize its forces. The stakes were incredibly high. If Bismarck reached the open Atlantic, it possessed the potential to wreak havoc on convoys, potentially crippling the British war effort and shifting the balance of power in the Battle of the Atlantic decisively in Germany's favor. The Royal Navy's response was swift and decisive. They understood the existential threat Bismarck posed. Admirals issued orders, and warships across the North Atlantic adjusted their courses, forming a vast, intricate net designed to ensnare the German Leviathan before it could unleash its destructive power. Battleships, battlecruisers, cruisers, and destroyers, along with reconnaissance aircraft, were all thrown into the desperate hunt. The most powerful battleship in the world was loose, and its interception became the Royal Navy's absolute top priority. In the early hours of May 24, 1941, the cat-and-mouse game culminated in a brutal confrontation in the Denmark Strait, the narrow passage between Iceland and Greenland. The British squadron, comprising the venerable battlecruiser HMS Hood, pride of the Royal Navy, and the newly commissioned battleship HMS Prince of Wales, intercepted the German force. The weather was grim, typical of the North Atlantic: heavy seas, a biting wind, and a low, gray sky. Visibility was poor, adding an extra layer of tension to the unfolding drama. HMS Hood, affectionately known as Mighty Hood, was a symbol of British naval power, a veteran of 2 decades, revered for its majestic lines and powerful armament. However, despite its impressive size and powerful 15-inch guns, Hood was an aging ship, designed before the era of plunging shell fire, and its deck armor was notoriously vulnerable compared to modern battleships like Bismarck. Prince of Wales, on the other hand, was cutting edge but still undergoing its sea trials, with civilian technicians still on board and its guns experiencing mechanical issues. The engagement began at 5:52 a.m. The two sides exchanged salvos from extreme ranges. For the British, the tactical situation was precarious. Approaching head-on, Hood presented a smaller target, but also exposed its less armored decks to Bismarck's high-angle fire. The German gunners, highly trained and utilizing advanced range-finding equipment, quickly found their mark. Shells from Bismarck and Prince Eugen arced across the cold, choppy waves, landing near their British counterparts. The roar of the cannons was deafening, a symphony of destruction echoing across the vast emptiness of the ocean. Each salvo sent colossal plumes of water skyward as shells impacted the sea or slammed into steel with devastating force. On the decks of Hood and Prince of Wales, the crews braced for impact, the concussive shock of their own guns jarring their bones, the tension palpable in the cold, salt-laden air. The very air vibrated with the raw power of naval warfare. Bismarck's 6th salvo proved catastrophic for HMS Hood. One of its 38-centimeter shells, likely fired from turret Bruno, pierced Hood's relatively thin deck armor, penetrating deep into the ship's aft magazine. The resulting explosion was apocalyptic, a cataclysmic eruption of fire and steel that tore the mighty battleship in two. A colossal pillar of flame and smoke erupted into the sky, dwarfing even the massive ship. Within minutes, HMS Hood vanished beneath the waves, taking with it 1,415 of its 1,118 crew members. The swift, brutal demise of the pride of the Royal Navy sent shockwaves around the world. The loss of Hood was a devastating blow to British morale and a stark demonstration of Bismarck's fearsome power. Winston Churchill, upon hearing the news, famously ordered, "Sink the Bismarck." This was not merely a tactical directive, it was a rallying cry, a vow of vengeance. The sinking of the Hood transformed the hunt for Bismarck into a deeply personal quest for the Royal Navy, an imperative that transcended strategic considerations. The capture or destruction of Bismarck became an absolute obsession, a matter of national pride and military honor. HMS Prince of Wales, alone against the 2 German Titans, fought on bravely, but was severely damaged. Its forward turrets suffered mechanical failures, and it sustained several direct hits from Bismarck's powerful guns. With the loss of Hood and the compromised state of Prince of Wales, the British force was compelled to break off the engagement. Bismarck, though victorious, had also sustained damage. A 14-inch shell from Prince of Wales had struck Bismarck's bow, rupturing a fuel tank and causing a significant oil leak. This seemingly minor damage would prove to be a critical factor in the ensuing chase. Admiral Lutyens, despite the stunning victory, knew his ship was compromised. The oil leak meant a reduced fuel supply and a visible trail for the enemy to follow. He made the fateful decision to head for the port of Saint-Nazaire in occupied France for repairs, a journey that would take him through the very heart of the Atlantic. Prince Eugen, having suffered no significant damage, was detached to continue its commerce raiding mission independently, though it would soon return to port due to mechanical issues. The Royal Navy unleashed its full fury. An unprecedented naval pursuit began, involving dozens of warships, including 5 battleships, 3 battlecruisers, 4 aircraft carriers, and numerous cruisers and destroyers. The hunt for Bismarck became one of the most epic and desperate naval chases in history, a sprawling drama playing out across thousands of square miles of the North Atlantic. Every available asset was thrown into the pursuit, a testament to the urgency of the mission. For the men aboard Bismarck, the days that followed were a grueling ordeal of constant tension and anxiety. They knew they were being hunted, that the full might of the Royal Navy was converging on them. The damaged bow, constantly taking on water, forced a reduction in speed, further exacerbating their predicament. The engine rooms, usually a cacophony of roaring machinery, now hummed with a different kind of tension, the crew acutely aware of their vulnerability. Every watch was an exercise in vigilance, scanning the horizon for the telltale plumes of smoke or the distant silhouettes of enemy ships. On May 26th, after almost 2 days of evasion, Bismarck was dramatically rediscovered by a Catalina flying boat from RAF Coastal Command operating out of Northern Ireland. The aircraft sighting, at the very limit of its endurance, was a pivotal moment. The hunter had been found, the pursuit was back on, and the net began to tighten once more. The elation on the British side was palpable, a surge of renewed determination after days of fruitless searching. The re-sighting put Bismarck within striking distance of Force H, commanded by Vice Admiral Sir James Somerville, which included the aircraft carrier HMS Ark Royal, the battlecruiser HMS Renown, and the cruiser HMS Sheffield. Ark Royal's swordfish biplanes, quaintly known as string bags for their wire-braced wings and slow speeds, were immediately dispatched. These torpedo bombers, ancient in appearance but deadly in effect, would deliver the decisive blows. The first attack by the swordfish was a debacle, accidentally targeting HMS Sheffield due to poor visibility and radar issues. The aircraft then corrected course and launched a second, more successful wave of attacks. In the twilight hours of May 26th, in a storm-lashed sea, 15 swordfish biplanes braved intense anti-aircraft fire from Bismarck. Their attack was daring, flying low and slow through a hail of shells, the pilots fully aware of the immense danger they faced. Despite Bismarck's formidable anti-aircraft defenses, the swordfish pressed home their attack. 2 torpedoes struck the battleship. One hit amidships, causing minor damage to the armored belt. The second, more critically, struck the stern, jamming Bismarck's rudders. This was the fatal blow. The massive ship, designed for speed and maneuverability, was now crippled, unable to steer, condemned to steam in circles in the vast, unforgiving ocean. The fate of the Bismarck was sealed. The impact of the torpedo that jammed the rudders was a moment of profound despair for the crew of Bismarck. The realization dawned on them that their mighty ship, the pride of the German fleet, was no longer mistress of its own destiny. Engineers and damage control teams worked feverishly, heroically, to unjam the rudders, to restore some measure of control. But despite their desperate efforts, battling against the crushing force of the sea and the immense structural damage, their attempts proved futile. The Bismarck was now a drifting behemoth, a wounded leviathan awaiting its inevitable end. Throughout the night of May 26-27, British destroyers, led by Captain Philip Vian, launched a relentless series of torpedo attacks. The destroyers, tiny in comparison to the battleship, circled the crippled giant, braving its still potent guns and the treacherous weather. They fired torpedoes, illuminated the Bismarck with star shells, and maintained a constant, harassing presence. Though none of their torpedoes landed critical blows, their sustained attacks wore down the German crew, denying them rest and exacerbating the psychological toll of their predicament. The human element aboard Bismarck during these final hours was one of unimaginable dread and exhaustion. Sleep was a luxury, fear a constant companion. The ship was no longer a symbol of power, but a target, a wounded beast surrounded by a pack of relentless hunters. The roar of British guns, the splashes of near misses, the shuddering impacts of torpedoes all contributed to a terrifying symphony of destruction. Yet, despite the hopelessness of their situation, the German sailors continued to fight, demonstrating remarkable courage and discipline to the very last. As dawn broke on May 27, the weather had calmed somewhat, but the sea remained heavy. Bismarck was still adrift, her guns defiant, but her trajectory uncontrolled. The main British battle line, consisting of the battleships HMS King George V and HMS Rodney, accompanied by the heavy cruisers HMS Norfolk and HMS Dorsetshire, closed in for the final engagement. This was to be a battle of overwhelming British firepower against a crippled but still dangerous adversary. The final battle commenced at 8:47 a.m. HMS Rodney, a veteran battleship, opened fire first, followed shortly by HMS King George V. Bismarck, though unable to maneuver effectively, still fired back with its remaining operational guns. The duel was brutally one-sided. The British battleships, able to position themselves optimally, pounded Bismarck mercilessly. Shells rained down on the German warship, tearing through its superstructure, obliterating its gun turrets, and igniting fires across its decks. The roar of the massed British artillery was apocalyptic. Imagine the thunder of 1,000 storms concentrated into a single focused torrent of steel and fire. Each impact was a violent eruption, sending shrapnel and debris flying, tearing massive holes in Bismarck's armor. The ship was enveloped in a shroud of smoke and flames, a scene of absolute devastation. Yet, incredibly, the Bismarck refused to sink, its robust design holding together despite the horrific punishment it endured. Turret Anton and Turret Bruno, Bismarck's forward main gun batteries, were quickly knocked out. Turret Dora, on the stern, continued to fire defiantly for a time, a symbol of the crew's unwavering courage, but it too was eventually silenced. The German battle ensign, though torn and blackened, still flew proudly from the mast, a final act of defiance against impossible odds. The British gunners, witnessing the incredible resilience of the Bismarck, were both awestruck and frustrated. After nearly 2 hours of continuous bombardment, Bismarck was a wreck. Its superstructure was a twisted inferno of metal, its main guns silenced, its secondary batteries destroyed. It was burning fiercely, listing heavily, but still stubbornly afloat. The British battleships, having expended vast quantities of ammunition, ceased fire. It was clear that shelling alone might not be enough to send the Titan to the bottom. At this point, the heavy cruisers HMS Dorsetshire and HMS Norfolk were ordered to deliver the coup de grace with torpedoes. Dorsetshire fired 3 torpedoes into Bismarck's starboard side, followed by 2 more into its port side. These blasts, along with scuttling charges reportedly set by the German crew to prevent capture, finally sealed Bismarck's fate. The great battleship, after hours of relentless punishment, slowly rolled over and capsized, disappearing beneath the waves at 10:40 a.m. Of Bismarck's crew of over 2,200, only 114 survivors were rescued by British ships. Many more could have been saved, but the presence of a suspected U-boat forced the British to withdraw from the rescue operation. It was a tragic end to a desperate struggle, highlighting the harsh realities and brutal calculus of naval warfare. The North Atlantic, a vast and indifferent arena, claimed another ship and countless lives. The sinking of the Battleship Bismarck was a monumental victory for the Royal Navy and a significant psychological blow to the German Kriegsmarine. It demonstrated the overwhelming power of the Royal Navy when concentrated and highlighted the vulnerability of even the most powerful surface raiders when confronted by superior numbers and coordinated air attacks. The incident had far-reaching implications for naval strategy, reinforcing the growing importance of carrier-borne air power in offensive naval operations. From a strategic perspective, Bismarck's demise effectively ended Germany's aspirations for large-scale surface commerce raiding in the Atlantic. Although its sister ship, Tirpitz, remained a potent fleet in being in Norwegian fjords, Bismarck's fate served as a stark warning. The resources and risks involved in deploying such capital ships into the heavily guarded Atlantic proved too high. The Battle of the Atlantic continued, but it largely reverted to a struggle between U-boats and Allied convoys, with surface raiders playing a far diminished role. The legacy of the Battleship Bismarck is one of both awe and tragedy. It was a marvel of engineering, a ship built with unwavering determination to dominate the seas, yet its operational life was fleeting, lasting just over 8 months from commissioning to sinking. Its single combat mission, Operation Rheinübung, achieved a stunning tactical victory with the destruction of HMS Hood, but ultimately ended in catastrophic failure for Germany. The story of Bismarck is a microcosm of the larger war, a testament to the immense human courage and technological prowess displayed by both sides. On one hand, the daring breakout attempt and the almost miraculous escape from detection initially, followed by the devastating efficiency of its gunnery against Hood, demonstrated the raw power and potential of the German battleship. On the other hand, the relentless pursuit by the Royal Navy, the ingenious use of air power from Ark Royal's Swordfish, and the combined might of the British fleet showcased the determination and strategic depth of the Allied forces. Expert analysis of Bismarck's final moments has yielded fascinating insights into its design and the battle itself. Underwater expeditions to the wreck, lying at a depth of nearly 4,000 times 800 meters, 15,700 feet in the North Atlantic, have revealed the extraordinary strength of its construction. Despite the massive bombardment it endured, much of its armored hull remains largely intact, corroborating eyewitness accounts of its stubborn refusal to sink from shellfire alone. This suggests that the scuttling charges, combined with the final torpedoes from Dorsetshire, were indeed the decisive factors in its ultimate descent. The wreck site is a poignant reminder of the battle, a silent memorial to the thousands of sailors who lost their lives on both sides. The ships, once roaring engines of war, now lie in perpetual darkness, testaments to a bygone era of naval combat. For historians and naval enthusiasts, the Bismarck continues to be a subject of intense study and debate, its story a captivating blend of technological achievement, strategic ambition, and human drama. The Battle of the Atlantic, in which Bismarck played such a dramatic but brief role, was a conflict of unprecedented scale and brutality. It was fought not just by battleships and U-boats, but by countless merchant sailors, convoy escorts, and air crews. The stakes were nothing less than the survival of Great Britain and the ability of the Allies to prosecute the war against Nazi Germany. The story of Bismarck underscores the desperate nature of this struggle and the immense sacrifices made. The narrative of Bismarck also serves as a powerful illustration of the adage that no ship is unsinkable. Despite its formidable armor, powerful armament, and advanced engineering, it ultimately succumbs to a combination of focused air attacks, relentless surface pursuit, and a stroke of bad luck with the jammed rudder. It was a reminder that even the most advanced weapon systems are subject to the unpredictable variables of combat and the ingenuity of a determined enemy. The legacy of Bismarck continues to resonate in popular culture, in books, films, and documentaries. It remains one of the most famous warships in history, a legend born from its dramatic design, its devastating victory over HMS Hood, and its epic final stand. It embodies the heroism and tragedy of naval warfare, a titan of the seas whose story echoes through time, forever etched in the collective memory of the Second World War. The human element, often overshadowed by the colossal machines of war, is central to the Bismarck saga. The German crew, fighting for their lives against overwhelming odds, displayed incredible fortitude. Similarly, the British sailors and airmen, driven by a desire for vengeance and a fierce determination to protect their nation, showed immense bravery in pressing home their attacks against such a formidable foe. The individual stories of courage, sacrifice, and survival on both sides contribute to the enduring power of this historical narrative. The planning that went into Operation Rheinübung was meticulous, reflecting Germany's ambition to challenge British naval supremacy. Admiral Lütjens, a seasoned and highly respected naval commander, understood the inherent risks. His decision to continue towards St. Nazaire, despite the damage to Bismarck, was a calculated gamble, prioritizing repair and refueling over a perilous return through the Denmark Strait, which was now likely to be heavily patrolled. This decision, while strategically sound given the circumstances, ultimately led the Royal Navy to narrow down the search area and eventually locate the crippled battleship. The relentless pursuit by the Royal Navy was a testament to the sheer logistical capacity and determination of the British Admiralty. They deployed an astonishing array of resources, diverting powerful capital ships from other theaters of war, scrambling reconnaissance aircraft, and coordinating a complex, multifaceted operation across vast distances. The resolve was absolute. Bismarck had to be sunk, no matter the cost. The political and psychological ramifications of letting Bismarck escape into the Atlantic were simply too great. The swordfish biplanes, so often ridiculed for their antiquated design and slow speed, proved to be the unlikely heroes of the Bismarck chase. In an age dominated by faster, more advanced monoplanes, these fabric-covered biplanes, flying through terrible weather and fierce anti-aircraft fire, delivered the crippling blow that sealed Bismarck's fate. It was a remarkable demonstration that even older technology, when wielded with skill and courage, could achieve decisive results against a state-of-the-art adversary. Their pilots, risking their lives in every dive, carved their own legends into the saga. The strategic significance of Bismarck's sinking extended beyond the immediate cessation of its threat. It sent a clear message to the German High Command that large surface combatants operating independently in the Atlantic were incredibly vulnerable, especially to coordinated air and sea attacks. This lesson would heavily influence subsequent German naval strategy, leading to a greater emphasis on U-boat warfare and the more cautious deployment of remaining heavy units like Tirpitz, which largely remained confined to Norwegian fjords, its existence a threat rather than an active combatant. The sheer scale of the final battle against Bismarck remains staggering.
Imagine the power of two of the Royal Navy's most potent battleships, King George V and Rodney, unleashing their entire broadsides, augmented by the heavy cruisers Norfolk and Dorsetshire, all concentrating their fire on a single, albeit massive, target. The volume of fire was immense, a torrent of high explosive and armor-piercing shells designed to smash through even the thickest steel. The scene was one of unparalleled naval violence, a brutal testament to the destructive capabilities of modern warships. Yet, despite this overwhelming firepower, the Bismarck proved incredibly difficult to destroy. Its robust compartmentalization, its extensive armor scheme, and the sheer volume of material used in its construction meant it could absorb an almost unimaginable amount of punishment. This resilience speaks volumes about the quality of German engineering and the fighting spirit of its crew, who continued to man their stations and return fire even as their ship was being torn apart around them. The moment Bismarck finally capsized and plunged into the abyss was a dramatic end to a dramatic chase. It was not a sudden explosion like the Hood, but a slow, deliberate surrender to the ocean's depths, a gradual vanishing act that underscored the vastness and power of the sea. The survivors, adrift in the cold waters of the Atlantic, faced a desperate struggle against exposure and hypothermia, their rescue a further chapter in the tale of heroism and tragedy. The story of the Bismarck is a multifaceted one, touching upon themes of technological innovation, strategic ambition, the brutal realities of war, and the enduring human spirit in the face of overwhelming odds. It is a story that has been told and retold, each recounting adding another layer to the legend of this iconic warship. From its genesis as a symbol of rearmed Germany to its dramatic final stand, Bismarck encapsulates a pivotal moment in naval history and the Second World War. The memory of HMS Hood's rapid and devastating loss galvanized the Royal Navy and the British public. The speed with which the Hood, a symbol of naval power for decades, disappeared was a profound shock. This personal loss fueled the British resolve to hunt down and destroy Bismarck, transforming a strategic imperative into a mission driven by grief and a fierce desire for retribution. The cry, "Sink the Bismarck," became not just a command, but a national expression of defiance. The details of Bismarck's construction and engineering genius are often highlighted, and rightly so. The Germans pushed the envelope of naval architecture to create a vessel that was fast, heavily armed, and exceptionally well protected. Its internal layout, the quality of its steel, and the advanced fire control systems it possessed were all top tier for their time. This technical superiority, however, was ultimately not enough to overcome the combined might of an entire fleet determined to eliminate it. The psychological warfare waged during the hunt was also intense. For the British, the constant worry that Bismarck might evade them and unleash havoc on convoys created immense pressure. For the German crew, the knowledge that they were being hunted by an entire navy, with their ship damaged and their fate increasingly sealed, must have been an agonizing ordeal. The isolation of command for Admiral Lütjens, making life or death decisions in the vast emptiness of the Atlantic, adds another layer of human drama to the narrative. The Battle of the Denmark Strait, though brief, was one of the most decisive naval engagements of the war. The swift demise of Hood, coupled with the damage to Prince of Wales, was a tactical triumph for the Kriegsmarine, but it ultimately served to awaken a sleeping giant. The British response was